The Metkayina Clan are an oceanic Na'vi people introduced in The Way of Water. They live on Pandora's eastern sea reefs, in villages built on mangrove-like trees in sheltered atolls. Physically, the Metkayina are adapted to swimming, with wider chests and stronger arms for swimming. Their tails are flatter and act like fins, and they have webbed hands and feet to move easily in water. The Metkayina show aquatic adaptations, broader chests, widened tails, limb strakes for propulsion, and nictitating membranes for underwater vision. This membrane is clearly visible in Way of Water with Tsireya surfacing from beneath the water. The Metkayina and other reef clans can hold their breath for minutes at a time. The cast all had to undergo rigorous underwater breath training in order to convincingly be part of these clans, with Kate Winslet famously able to hold her breath for as long as 7 minutes. Finally, their glowing skin markings are larger and brighter, helping them communicate in deep or murky water. They are skilled reef hunters and fishermen, riding sea creatures like the Ilu and forming spiritual bonds with the Tulkun, intelligent whale-like beings. In 2169, the clan is led by Tonowari, the Awa'atlu, and Ronal, the Tsahik. In Metkayina culture, tattoos are used to record personal history and status, and they expertly craft ocean tools, like spears tipped with razor shells. In The Way of Water, the Metkayina give refuge to the Sully family when they flee the forest. At first, the newcomers are treated with suspicion, but in time they are accepted, and taught freediving, breathing, and aquatic lore. When the RDA hunts the sacred Tulkuns to weaken the reef clans, the Metkayina stand with Jake's family to fight back. In the final battle, Tonowari and Ronal rally their people and other oceanic clans to defeat the RDA, showing their fierce loyalty and strength. Following the battle, Jake and his family are adopted into the Metkayina, forging a lasting alliance between reef and forest Na'vi. Tonowari is the Awa'atlu clan chief of the Metkayina Reef People, responsible for his clan's day-to-day well-being, security, and governance. He oversees the welfare of his people, including leading hunts, building and repairing village structures, and arbitrating disputes. He is a fierce warrior and a capable administrator and diplomat. Tonowari is described as a well-spoken statesman and leader whose people respect him for his ideals and his ability to guide them through challenges. These qualities define his character throughout The Way of Water. He greets Jake Sully's family with courtesy, even though their arrival brings danger. While cautious about harboring the fleeing family, he demonstrates empathy and honor. Played by Cliff Curtis, Tonowari stands at roughly 9 feet 7 inches tall, with turquoise blue skin marked by bioluminescent patterns. Like other reef Na'vi, he has anatomical adaptations for ocean life, broader forearms, and a stronger tail fluke for swimming. His adornments reflect his status, ceremonial jewelry made of seashells and cords, and in battle he wields a large spear. Tonowari's demeanor is calm and dignified, but he can be fierce when provoked, especially where his family is concerned. Avatar: The Way of Water. We meet the Metkayina for the first time in The Way of Water, and throughout it, Tonowari walks a delicate line. When the Sully family arrive at Awa'atlu seeking asylum, he must weigh their fate. This pivotal sequence reveals everything about his leadership philosophy. Tonowari approaches with cautious hospitality. He recognizes Jake as Turuk Makto and greets Neytiri formally, indicating respect and prior knowledge of the Omatikaya lineage. But his first duty is protecting his people, so he asks why Jake has come and what trouble he is fleeing. His concern is explicit, that they will be drawn into Jake's war. He knows harboring the Sullys could paint a target on the Metkayina's backs. Yet Na'vi tradition holds that Uturu must be given to those who ask properly. Jake's invocation puts Tonowari in a bind. To refuse would be dishonorable. While his wife Ronal conducts a hostile examination of the newcomers, voicing fears about demon blood and the family's surplus fingers, Tonowari keeps the discussion calm. After conferring with Ronal and getting her blessing, he makes his decision. Turuk Makto and his family will stay with us, Tonowari announces. Treat them as our brothers and sisters. He immediately assigns his own children, Tsireya and Aonung, to teach the Sully kids, quashing Aonung's protest with a firm, "It is decided." After granting sanctuary, Tonowari becomes Jake's guide into Metkayina life. In one memorable scene, he instructs Jake on riding a skimwing, the powerful flying fish-like mounts of the reef Na'vi. This is no small gesture. Riding a skimwing is a skill typically reserved for Metkayina warriors. Tonowari patiently coaches Jake through multiple attempts, showing understanding without judgment. When Jake finally succeeds, Tonowari's reaction is one of pride, an almost paternal nod. This sequence cements a bond, transforming their relationship from clan leader and refugee to fellow warriors. Later, when the Tulkun return to Metkayina waters, Tonowari explains their significance with reverence. He describes the spiritual link that clan members form with a specific Tulkun partner, teaching Jake about the profound connections that define reef life. These quiet moments showcase Tonowari's generous nature. He doesn't hoard knowledge but shares it freely with those who show respect. Tonowari's parenting philosophy emerges through his handling of Aonung. When Loak fights with Aonung after enduring taunts about his family's human traits, Tonowari convenes a judgment circle. Upon hearing both sides, he sternly scolds Aonung for picking on Loak and orders him to apologize. What matters is that Tonowari holds his own son accountable in front of outsiders. He doesn't protect his children from consequences when they're wrong. He demands the same standards from them that he expects from everyone else. Tonowari's greatest test comes when RDA whalers begin slaughtering Tulkun in Metkayina waters. The Tulkun aren't just animals to the Metkayina. This atrocity is tantamount to murdering family members. At first, he heeds Jake's counsel to avoid openly engaging the heavily armed whalers. Jake urges that confronting them head-on would lead to casualties. Tonowari consents to evacuating the Tulkun instead, a strategic approach that aligns with the Tulkun way, which values life and forbids killing. But when Tonowari and Ronal discover the corpse of Ronal's Tulkun Roa, slaughtered alongside her calf, everything changes. Ronal's wailing grief transforms into rage, and Tonowari echoes her fury. The measured diplomatic leader now issues a war cry. They are killers of Tulkun. They must die. Here. Today. Tonowari declares, rallying the clan for immediate battle. This isn't just Jake's war anymore, it's Tonowari's too. In the climactic battle, Tonowari leads from the front. He mounts his Skimwing and charges into combat alongside his warriors. When Quaritch takes hostages, including Tsireya, the leader rises from the water to confront the invaders. The standoff is tense, with Quaritch threatening to execute the children unless Jake surrenders. Tonowari must watch helplessly as his child is held at gunpoint. Once Payakan's intervention breaks the standoff, Tonowari goes into beast mode. He spearguns a mercenary underwater, then engages in close-quarters combat, using his hunting knife and sheer strength to eliminate RDA soldiers. His fighting style is efficient and lethal. Throughout the battle, Tonowari coordinates with Ronal, their wordless communication showing years of partnership. He personally kills at least one member of the Tulkun hunting crew. All in all, he fulfills Jake's prediction that these people know the sea, they will fight like demons. After the battle's terrible cost, Neteyam's death while rescuing Tonowari's children, the clan leader presides over the funeral. Tonowari recognizes that Neteyam's death transcends clan boundaries. As they prepare Neteyam's body according to Metkayina custom, Tonowari approaches Jake and Neytiri with profound respect. "Your son lies with our ancestors," he says. "You are Metkayina now." They are no longer refugees, they are people of the reef with all the rights and protections that entails. Tonowari and Ronal, leadership. Tonowari's relationship with Ronal showcases balanced leadership. He rules not as an absolute monarch, but as one half of a partnership. Where he handles practical governance, Ronal oversees spiritual matters. Neither undermines the other, they confer before major decisions. This reflects Avatar's broader themes about balance. In nature, between genders, between the material and spiritual worlds, and between different approaches. Tonowari values Ronal's counsel even when they disagree. When Ronal wants to fight despite her pregnancy, Tonowari expresses concern but respects her choice. This reveals genuine equality. He trusts her judgment about her own capabilities, even when it terrifies him. On top of this, his willingness to question himself, to accept counsel from outsiders, to change course when circumstances demand it, these qualities see him grow in stature throughout the story, moving from cautious isolationism to active alliance. Tonowari in Fire and Ash and beyond. Avatar 3 will introduce the volcanic ash people, led by Varang. This new hostile Na'vi force looks set to partner with the RDA, meaning that we will see Na'vi fighting Na'vi for the first time. Tonowari's statesmanship will be tested again, as it looks like the RDA are coming back for Jake, and coming to the Reef Clan's door to find him. So what else is there for Tonowari to confront in the third installment? With Jake's family now Metkayina, Tonowari is Jake's closest military ally. His knowledge of ocean warfare, connections to other reef clans, and diplomatic skills make him invaluable for the Na'vi cause against Quaritch and the RDA. Ronal could well give birth to their third child in Fire and Ash. This new life brings both joy and increased stakes. Tonowari now fights for an infant's future. The vulnerability of a newborn might make him more fierce in his resolve to secure lasting peace. As Loak and Tsireya's relationship deepens, Tonowari and Ronal must navigate complex interclan dynamics. He might formally recognize Loak's bond with Payakan, overcoming his earlier disapproval and acknowledging that sometimes young people see truths that their elders miss. And thanks to the trailers, we already know to expect some sort of Tulkun ceremony, spider bonding with an Ilu, and plenty more sea skirmishes. Longer term, his children will inherit a Metkayina clan that's no longer isolated, but connected to forest, ash, and other clans. For better, and maybe for worse. The lessons he teaches, that strength requires compassion, that outsiders can become family, that honor matters more than safety, will guide his descendants long after his leadership ends. In a franchise filled with larger-than-life warriors, Tonowari stands out because his greatest strength isn't his spear, it's his judgment. He knows when to fight and when to talk, when to hold firm and when to compromise, when to lead from the front and when to trust others' expertise. The battle for Pandora continues, and Tonowari stands ready. With his fierce partner by his side, the oceans of Pandora belong to those who respect them, and no one shows more respect than Ronal, Sahik of the Metkayina. Before Avatar Fire and Ash, you need to understand the warrior shaman who refused to let pregnancy stop her from charging into battle. Origins and nature. The fiercely independent Sahik. Ronal is the spiritual leader, or Sahik, of the Metkayina Clan. The position is a combination of high priestess, healer, and keeper of cultural memory. While Tonowari handles governance as Olo Aiktan, Ronal guides the clan spiritually, leading sacred ceremonies, interpreting Awa's will, and preserving their ancestral knowledge. Played by Kate Winslet, Ronal represents something rarely depicted in film, a pregnant warrior who refuses to be sidelined. Winslet performed her underwater scenes after training in freediving, matching Cameron's vision of Ronal as resilient, capable, and bionic in her determination. Her tattoos, shell headpiece, and woven song cord all reflect her authority, marking key spiritual events in her life. Everything about her design emphasizes that she carries the legacy and responsibility of her people on her shoulders. Fiercely independent and guided by tradition, Ronal is skeptical of outsiders and protective to the point of aggression. Her instincts are sharp, her judgment swift, and her commitment to her people unshakable. She is the living embodiment of Metkayina tradition and the spiritual heart of the reef. Avatar, the Way of Water, from suspicion to solidarity. When Jake Sully's family arrives in Awa'atlu seeking Uturu, Ronal responds with immediate hostility. She circles the newcomers, studying their differences, openly criticizing their forest physiology as unsuitable for life on the ocean. Her disdain only grows when she sees Jake's children have 5 fingers, the unmistakable sign of human DNA. Holding their hands up to the crowd, she calls them demon blood. This escalates to near violence when Neytiri defends her children, and the two mothers nearly clash before Tonowari intervenes. Ronal's aggression isn't cruelty, though. It's devotion. Her duty is to protect the reef. She knows the Sky People have done huge damage to the forest clans, and she refuses to let that devastation follow the Sullys to her home. After a debate with her husband, she defers to Tonowari's decision to grant the family sanctuary, but makes one thing clear. If they stay, they must learn the way of water and prove they will not endanger the clan. She softens only slightly as she helps train the Sullys. She guides Neytiri in breathing techniques and instructs Took in reef-gathering traditions. Though strict, she is not unjust. Her sternness is rooted in care. Her perspective shifts dramatically when she witnesses Kiri underwater. Kiri's extraordinary connection to Awa, her ability to enter trance-like states and influence sea life, captures Ronal's attention. She recognizes something sacred in the girl, something beyond normal Na'vi abilities, definitely something to look out for in Fire and Ash. Remember, if you're enjoying this video, subscribe to the channel for more character deep dives. Ronal's role as Sahik becomes critical when Kiri suffers a violent seizure after connecting to the spirit tree. Human medics rush in with their equipment, but Neytiri dismisses them brutally. She wants the Sahik to care for her daughter.
Ouch! You have done nothing!
Ronal relies instead on traditional herbs and chants, applying ancient healing methods that succeed where human machines fail. Ronal restores Kiri to health, highlighting her standing as a true spiritual authority and reaffirming the value of Na'vi knowledge. However, everything changes when the RDA whalers begin slaughtering Tulkun. Each Metkayina shares a spiritual bond with a Tulkun. Ronal's spirit sister is Roa, a Tulkun matriarch. When Ronal finds Roa and her calf brutally butchered for their Amrita, she unleashes a devastating cry felt across the reef. It's an emotional breaking point that transforms her from a reluctant host to a warrior driven by rage and injustice. The death of Roa catalyzes Ronal's commitment to war, and she now stands ready to fight beside the Sullys against Quaritch and the RDA. They are killers of Tulkun. They must die, she declares. When the Metkayina prepare to strike the sea dragon, Tonowari urges Ronal to stay behind due to her pregnancy. She refuses. For her, fighting is not optional. If she does not defend her people now, there will be no safe future for her unborn child. She charges into battle on her Skimwing, wielding a spear with deadly skill. Even in late pregnancy, she is one of the most fearsome fighters in the clan. During the hostage crisis, when Quaritch takes Tsireya and others captive, Ronal vents her deepest fear and anger towards Jake. This is because of you. But the accusation doesn't alter her resolve. Survival, not blame, is the only priority. The aftermath of the battle brings devastating loss. Neteyam dies in part because he was helping save Ronal's child. In the funeral that follows, Ronal presides over the ritual with solemn grace, guiding his body back to Awa in the glowing waters of the Cove of the Ancestors. When Tonowari declares to Jake, "You are Metkayina now," Ronal stands in agreement. Her acceptance finalizes the Sully's adoption into the clan, sealing a bond forged through grief, courage, and shared struggle. Ronal's significance, themes, and cultural power. Ronal embodies the worldview of the Metkayina more completely than any other character. Her teal skin, ocean-infused adornments, and reverence for the Tulkun reflect a culture built on balance with the sea. Her spiritual leadership showcases the depth of Metkayina tradition, especially their belief that Tulkun are their equals, not just sea creatures. Her horror at the Tulkun massacre underscores Avatar's ecological themes and director James Cameron's own views. To Ronal, the whaler's actions are sacrilegious. Her partnership with Tonowari shows us the Na'vi ideal of balanced leadership. They govern together, his diplomacy complementing her intuition. Her choice to fight, even pregnant, is a statement about equality in Na'vi society. Unlike many human cultures, the Na'vi place no limits on motherhood's role in leadership or warfare. Ronal's decisions are respected, not questioned. Ronal in Fire and Ash and beyond. With Avatar 3 introducing the Manquan, the volcanic ash people led by Varang, Ronal will face her most complex challenge. Unlike the Omatikaya or Metkayina, the ash people may reject Awa entirely. If they align with the RDA, Ronal will confront Na'vi enemies for the first time. It seems likely that Ronal will also give birth to her third child in the upcoming film. Her newborn will raise the stakes of every decision she makes, requiring her to become an even more formidable protector. What else is there to look out for? Kiri's growing spiritual power will draw Ronal into a mentorship role. The first trailer shows Ronal almost begging Kiri to use her immense power, presumably because someone close to her is in trouble. Ronal already recognizes that Kiri's connection to Awa is unique. We know this from the second movie. So as Kiri's abilities evolve, she will need guidance from someone who understands the power and responsibility of spiritual leadership. Also, it looks like romance will continue to bloom between her daughter Tsireya and Loak. This will no doubt bring more involvement from Ronal, perhaps some more funny discussions between her and Tonowari. Will Loak lead Tsireya astray? Probably. Will Tsireya lead Loak astray? Unlikely. One thing that is likely is more Tulkun action, so expect Ronal to come into play there. And finally, the trailer gives a look at Ronal in warrior mode once again. She is puncturing holes in a RDA submersible with her spear. This is a side of her we love to see. Kate Winslet didn't get enough to do in the second film, especially given she trained to hold her breath for as much as 7 minutes. And also because she is Kate Winslet. Are you excited to see how Ronal's journey unfolds in Fire and Ash? Let me know what you're most looking forward to in the comments. The oceans of Pandora still have many secrets left to explore. Now to her daughter and Sahik in training. Tsireya is much more than just Loak's love interest. Here is everything you need to understand her, because she might just represent the future of Pandora itself. Origins and role. Tsireya operates on 2 levels, as daughter of Tonowari and Ronal, the Reef Clan's effective princess, and as Tsakarem, the Tsahik in training who will one day interpret Awa's will. For the Metkayina Clan, the Tsahik is more than a healer. She is the voice of Awa, keeper of traditions, and a guide through ritual and medicine. Tsireya likely assisted Ronal from youth, preparing sea-based remedies, but her childhood wasn't all ritual and responsibility. She honed practical skills too, like hunting, fishing, and bonding with a female Tulkun as her spirit sister. Tsireya's song cord contains a shell shaped like a water drum representing her first breath ritual. Tsireya embodies the Metkayina philosophy, the way of water connects all things. Before your birth and after your death, the ocean remembers. The Way of Water, 2022. We first meet Tsireya when Jake Sully's family arrives at Awa'atlu in search of sanctuary. She emerges from the sea, water cascading off her skin, an image of grace that stops Loak in his tracks. The Metkayina are skeptical of the Sully family. Tonowari is diplomatic, while Ronal is openly hostile, accusing them of having demon blood. It's only after Jake invokes Uturu, the sacred rite of sanctuary, that the leaders reluctantly accept their hosting duties. While Tsireya's brother Aonung and his friends mock the Sully children for their differences, Tsireya scolds them. Assigned to teach the Sully children the way of water, Tsireya embraces the task with enthusiasm. When Loak struggles to keep up, she is patient and kind, teaching him to slow his breath and celebrating his progress when he finally catches a shell underwater. Tsireya also introduces the Sullys to the ocean's spiritual side, guiding Kiri, Tuk, and Neteyam to the Cove of the Ancestors to commune with Awa. This generosity, sharing her culture's most sacred place, signifies how fully Tsireya has accepted the Sully family. Tsireya and Loak, the bond that unites clans. The relationship between Tsireya and Loak is the emotional heart of the Way of Water. It starts as an innocent friendship and blossoms into something deeper. Loak is immediately drawn to Tsireya's beauty and confidence, but what truly captivates him is the way she sees him, not as the screw-up son, but as someone with potential. For Loak, who has spent his life feeling like a disappointment, her belief in him is transformative. Their bond deepens after Loak's encounter with Payakan, the outcast Tulkun. When he tells Tsireya about his new friend, she is alarmed. Payakan is shunned by the Metkayina as a killer who violated the Tulkun way. Loak refuses to believe his friend is a monster, and he's frustrated that the Metkayina won't understand. In this delicate moment, Tsireya tells him, "I see you." This is more than just a greeting, it's an expression of recognition and love. When the RDA launches its brutal Tulkun hunting campaign, Tsireya is thrust into the conflict. Despite fearing for the safety of her own spirit sister, she accompanies Loak and the others to Three Brothers Rock to warn Payakan. Payakan escapes, but the Na'vi teens are captured. Bound and held at gunpoint, Tsireya remains brave. She can do little as Quaritch uses the kids as leverage, but she doesn't break. In the ensuing battle, Tsireya is freed and quickly retrieved by Neteyam, who is shot as they escape. She draws on her training and brings the escape Ilu, but Neteyam's injuries are beyond healing. As the shattered family grieves, she can only watch helplessly. By film's end, Tonowari welcomes the Sullys into the clan, and it remains to be seen where her journey goes from here. Tsireya in Fire and Ash. The stage is set for her character to continue playing a prominent role in the upcoming sequels. Avatar Fire and Ash will feature Tsireya, and Loak will narrate the story, which strongly suggests she will feature prominently. The trailers have given us glimpses of Tsireya, helping Loak retrieve Neytiri's bow, continuing to give Loak advice, riding Payakan's fin and Loak's Ikran. We can expect their bond to evolve from a tentative first love into a more mature partnership. Given Na'vi customs, it wouldn't be surprising if Tsireya and Loak eventually become life mates, solidifying the union of their clans. Tsireya's role as Chakaram is also likely to come to the fore. With Ronal having given birth and possibly being occupied with a newborn, Tsireya might step up to handle more of the Tsahik duties for the Metkayina. This could include leading ceremonies, tending to the wounded, and spiritually guiding her people through the coming tough times. As war rages with Quaritch and Varang, will she maintain her gentle approach, or will she learn to be more confrontational when necessary? Conflict with a hostile Na'vi clan or further attacks from the RDA might see her develop a warrior's courage to balance her healer's compassion, and the trailer does hint that she will be going on the offensive in a big way. She's flying through the air with spear in hand and piercing the glass of the RDA's submersible attack craft. Payakan's story will also continue in Avatar 3, and Tsireya will remain involved in this subplot, alongside Loak, of course. Having her own Tulkun spirit sister, Tsireya will likely be an advocate for the Tulkun in any forthcoming events. If the RDA resumes hunting Tulkuns, Tsireya will spearhead efforts to protect them, rallying her clan to defend their spiritual brethren. James Cameron has indicated that Avatar 3 will take some bold narrative turns. For Tsireya, one speculative yet plausible turn could be her leaving the comfort of Awa'atlu to accompany Loak and others on a bigger adventure. If circumstances require the Sullys to travel to enlist other clans or confront the Ash people elsewhere, will Tsireya remain at home base or choose to go with Loak? From Tsireya's first appearance emerging from the sea to her confrontation with grief after Neteyam's death, every major moment in the Way of Water flows through her ability to connect. She taught the Way of Water, she validated Loak when he felt like an outcast, she held him when his world fell apart, and now she faces her greatest challenge, navigating a war that threatens everything she loves. Do you think Tsireya will rise to become the Tsahik her people need in Avatar Fire and Ash? Let us know what you think in the comments. The Metkayina live by the Way of Water. Let's look at the aquatic life that surrounds them, starting with Tulkun. Beneath the waves of Pandora swims a creature larger, older, and more intelligent than anything on land or in the sky. The Tulkun, colossal marine beings worshipped as spirit brothers and sisters by the Na'vi, are the heart of the ocean. Measuring over 25 meters long, some Tulkun even grow to 80 meters, dwarfing the largest whales on Earth. Their sleek bodies glide effortlessly through Pandora's vast oceans, decorated with swirling bioluminescent patterns that light up the deep. Beneath their thick and calloused skin is a gentle giant with unmatched intelligence. They have names, they have language, and they have culture. They create songs, share histories, and bond with the Na'vi in a way no other creature does. The Metkayina Clan, who live by the reef, hold sacred friendships with individual Tulkun, treating them not as beasts but as equals. We see this in Way of Water when Loak befriends Paya Khan, seeing him as a kindred spirit as they are both outcasts at that point of the story. But the Tulkun's story is not one of peace alone. Long ago, they fought wars amongst themselves before choosing a life of strict pacifism. They refuse to kill, even in defense. It is their greatest strength and their greatest tragedy. Humans hunt them for a golden fluid inside their frontal lobe cavity called amrita, a substance worth millions for its anti-aging properties. During the events of Avatar: The Way of Water, this brutal whaling ignited conflict between the Na'vi and the human invaders once again. The Tulkun represent everything Pandora stands for: beauty, intelligence, and balance, constantly under threat from greed. Akula. If the Tulkun are the soul of Pandora's oceans, the Akula is its nightmare. Known for its brutal speed and unstoppable force, the Akula is the deadliest predator lurking in the deeper waters of the reef. Stretching over 15 meters in length, the Akula is built like a living torpedo. Its body is armored with thick plating, its jaws lined with serrated teeth capable of biting straight through bone. It moves with terrifying speed, able to chase down even the fastest prey in open water. The Akula is a solitary hunter. It stalks the edge of coral reefs, ambushing anything that crosses its path. Ilu, young Tulkun, or even reckless humans. It strikes with brute force, delivering devastating bites before disappearing back into the depths. To the Metkayina Na'vi, the Akula is a force of nature, respected, feared, and avoided. They do not attempt to tame or bond with it. It's a living reminder that Awa's balance includes predators that must be left alone. Loak, the youngest son of Jake Sully, learned this lesson firsthand when an Akula chased him through the reef after he gets separated from the group. Outsmarting it became a defining moment in his coming of age, but for most, encountering an Akula ends in tragedy. Ilu. In the shallow coastal waters of Pandora, one creature stands out for its speed, grace, and connection to the Na'vi, the Ilu. To the Metkayina people, the Ilu is a trusted companion and vital partner in daily life. The Ilu is featured heavily in The Way of Water in scenes involving swimming lessons, training, and playful underwater exploration. Measuring around 6 to 8 meters in length, the Ilu resembles a sleek plesiosaur with two large wing-like fins that allow it to glide effortlessly through the water. Its skin shimmers in hues of blue and teal, lined with glowing bioluminescent stripes that flash as it darts between reefs. Unlike the ferocious predators of the deep, the Ilu is social, friendly, and highly intelligent. It travels in pods, using clicks and squeaks to communicate. Through the sacred bond of Tsahelu, the Metkayina connect their cues directly to the Ilu, riding them through the sea. Ilu are used for hunting, fishing, and travel. Young Na'vi learn to ride them at an early age, mastering the currents and waves. Despite their gentle nature, Ilus are no easy catch for predators. They are incredibly fast and agile, able to outmaneuver most threats, including the terrifying Akula. For the Metkayina, the Ilu symbolizes harmony with the sea. It's a creature of freedom, joy, and partnership. This makes it all the more devastating in the way of water when Quaritch and his recombinant team, as part of a wider raid, kill one when trying to extract information from the Tonowari clan as to the Sully family's whereabouts.
Skimwing. Among the crashing waves of Pandora's oceans lives a creature built for speed, power, and combat, the Skimwing. Known to the Na'vi as Tsireya, the Skimwing is the riding beast of the Reef clans. We see both Jake and Tonowari riding in Way of Water. Measuring up to 14 meters in length, the Skimwing looks like a fierce combination of flying fish and predatory eel. Its long, streamlined body is armed with rows of sharp teeth, and its broad, wing-like fins allow it to rocket through water at incredible speed. With a flick of its powerful tail, it can launch itself from the sea, gliding for long distances above the waves before diving back beneath the water. The Metkayina clan prizes the Skimwing as a warrior's mount. Unlike the gentle Ilu, bonding with a Skimwing is a challenge of dominance. Only the strongest and most determined Na'vi can tame one, forming Sahelu and earning the right to ride it across open oceans and into battle. In times of conflict, the Skimwing is the Metkayina's fastest weapon, used to patrol their territory, hunt dangerous sea creatures, and fight human threats. In the Way of Water, Jake Sully himself learns to ride a Skimwing, proving himself worthy to the Reef People in the process. Daisy Anemone. In the shimmering lagoons and reef gardens of Pandora, beauty disguises danger in the form of the carnivorous daisy anemone, a colorful, bioluminescent invertebrate that anchors itself to rock or coral surfaces, while its trailing tendrils conceal a powerful sting, capable of paralyzing small fish. Larger swimmers are wise to keep their distance. Like anemonids, daisy anemones are sensitive to magnetic fields. When nearby metal is detected, such as an RDA tool or piece of equipment, the anemone slowly turns toward it. In Avatar, The Way of Water, daisy anemones briefly reveal their more aggressive potential. During a skirmish in the reef, Kiri uses her connection to Awa to command nearby anemones, causing them to wrap around and disable RDA soldiers underwater. This moment is one of several that proves even the smallest, most beautiful organisms can become weapons when Awa calls them.
Nutsa. Deep in the coastal waters of Pandora, beyond the safety of the coral reefs, swims a predator both feared and seldom seen, the Nutsa. Described by the Metkayina as a lurking terror of the shelf zone, this monstrous predator combines the flexible stealth of an eel with the brutal jaws of a crocodile. Needle-like teeth, a whip-like tail, and pulsing bioluminescent stripes help it strike fast and vanish into the depths. Preying on reef creatures and unwary swimmers, the Nutsa is whispered about in cautionary tales, symbolizing the lurking dangers of the open sea. While beings like the Tulkun are cherished kin, the Nutsa remains an untamed force of Awa's balance, a reminder that not all life on Pandora offers friendship. The Nutsa appears in the Pandora Flight of Passage attraction and is referenced in official materials.
Gil Mantle. Last but not least, in the clear waters of Pandora's shallow reefs drifts one of the most remarkable symbiotic creatures, the Gil Mantle, or Tsireya in the Na'vi tongue. With its translucent, membrane-like body and flowing tendrils, it glows softly beneath the waves, pulsing with bioluminescent light. When placed over the face, it forms a living, breathing mask, extracting oxygen from the water and allowing Na'vi to remain submerged far longer than natural breath-holding permits. For the Metkayina clan, the Gil Mantle is a daily companion, used in hunting, exploration, and sacred rites. Avatar: The Way of Water shows Kiri using one to connect with the underwater spirit tree, highlighting its role not just in survival, but in spiritual connection. Small and gentle, the Gil Mantle symbolizes Pandora's delicate balance, where even the tiniest creature plays a vital role in sustaining life. And don't forget to like and subscribe as we cover every corner of Pandora in the lead up to Fire and Ash.